currently waiting for my own stream to go live because we've just upgraded the sunset live streams, and now I get to watch myself while you watch me, so I can access the chat on this wonderful, clear English sunset. It's a gorgeous day, we've got a clear, beautiful vision, and I get to monitor myself in real time, which is pretty fun. And also be more engaged with everyone who joins live, so let's level up piece by piece. However, until we go into the real flow of the chat, I'm going to talk about what's been happening in my day. So today is one of those much avoided days in my life where I open up my one-to-one mentorships. And that might sound like a strange thing to say, but the reality is that for me, I only work with 20 people per year one-to-one. My mentorships are 4 months, they're very intense, they're very, very restrictive and very structured, and I get far more messages than I can possibly deal with. So what happens, and you'll know if you've reached out to me, I don't respond to one-to-one messages in my request box on a frequent basis because I just can't do that. So today was my day of opening up Instagram and finally going into the last 2 months of dozens of messages. There's around 40 to 50 people saying, hey, I want to work with you, or full paragraphs of, hey, I want to work with you, and people joining live. I'm seeing you in the chat now, so I'm gonna get involved, but my day today has been sending out the voice notes and starting the real-time conversations. If you're interested in finally working with me, you've been watching me for months or even years, now is the time. I've got availability now, November, December, January, February. All the information is in the pinned comments on YouTube. I do this about 4 or 5 times per year. I open up, I then get full capacity, I then help my current clients, and that's it. So, just an opening introduction. If you've been watching me and you want to work with me, not just this, but actually 4 months of intense, non-stop inner work at a very high level across all aspects of your identity, send me a message. I'm going to be on my phone, and I'll respond to you literally today after this live stream. Send me a message now, I will respond to you today, and we could potentially start as early as next week, or do a deposit for January or February. But that's my day today. Bit of a sales moment, but also an open door moment, because quite honestly, I really struggle with selling. I struggle with being consistent on sales, because for me, mentorships are relationships, and I don't enjoy the whole build-up. But, cut the queue. Top of my inbox, send me a message now, come back into the live stream. If you're ready to work with me, just send me the message, we can start. Let's get into the live stream mode. For anyone joining live, I've now got my 3rd phone. I've got the phone I'm filming on, I've got my offline phone which I use for Monday, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I've now got my 3rd phone. So look, even though I can't see the chat, I can come all the way over here. I can see that Sephora says, hello Jordan, so happy to see this again. Thank you for the beautiful view. It's morning here in Minnesota. And Larissa says, I can definitely relate to that, maybe about the sales conversation. Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me at a good volume from this distance. I haven't got the microphone plugged in. If you can hear me, I can speak at this volume and we can enjoy a more scenic view before we go for a walk a little bit later on. I'm seeing in the chat from Larissa, hello. Seeing Solvents, good afternoon. Roya, saying hello. Rinny, welcome back. Happy Friday indeed. KL says, good evening, Jordan. We're just on the precipice of good evening. We've got a beautiful, expansive sunset today. Seeing all good in the chat, good to hear you, fantastic. Still morning in New York City, of course. Very different views in New York City, but if you go into upstate New York, maybe you get similar visions to this. I've heard that the apple season is particularly good in New York this time of year. And Theo says, good night from China. Good night from China. We've got a good one today. I've got a feeling this is going to be one of the best live streams, so strap yourself in. If you're watching this on replay, know that you're going to get a good experience. I'm high energy, I'm fully recharged from offline time. I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all of Thursday just reading. 11 hours plus per day of reading. Honestly, way too many books. I read 12 books in total. 2 of them were already started, so not completely, like, call it 10 books. 11 hours a day of reading. I took a break to go for a walk. I took a break to go to the gym, and break for food, but I pretty much just read in hermit mode, and you can probably feel that my energy is maximally expansive right now. So yeah, I see Talit saying, Talit Fatima, this type of scenery and chance to observe says it loud that life is beautiful and we are lucky to be here. I agree. We are very lucky to be here. I feel the beauty of this scenery every single week, every single day that I come out here. I've been watching a lot of the sunsets, especially in the winter. It gets dark at 4:30. I wish we could do these at 8 p.m, but that's going to be a summer thing for us to look forwards to. I'm seeing Roya asking about client work. Good, I'll do a bit of client work things. Roya says, will you have any openings for clients late in 2025? I would like to start working with you after I've read at least 20 of the books you recommend. I'm currently working with another coach, but I'm eager to delve deeper with you as well. You can work with me at the end of 2025. In terms of my wait lists, historically speaking, for the last 4 years, I fill up pretty immediately because I only work with 6 or 7 people at once, and you see how many people watch these videos, how many people are ready to start working with me. If you know you want to start working together in late 2025, my best possible advice for getting the most out of me and knowing that you've got a spot is message me at least 6 months beforehand. Tell me that you want a specific start date, say for example in October 2025. We can then schedule a call. I can then take a deposit, which is 1,400, so the total mentorship is 7,400 British pounds for 4 months. You can see the pinned comments. I need 1,400 as a non-refundable deposit. That then comes out of the total fee, remaining 6,000. We split that into payments. You get the idea, but you need to let me know ahead of time, especially as things get busier and busier. The channel is booming. We're at 81,000 right now, and it gets harder and harder to get me one-to-one just by necessity of I can't respond to everyone. So if you let me know directly and specifically you want to work together, you've got the money available, you've got the time available on your calendar, that's the best place to begin logistically, and then we can start the actual process of hours of conversation of making sure it's a good fit for each other, and then setting up the accountability, setting up the structure, setting up the very specific measurable goals in terms of wounding, trauma and bruising, and the self-actualization territory that we're going into. You can expect that you'll be reading at least a book per week, sometimes 2 books per week, so I'm glad that Roya said that you want to do at least 20 books before going into the mentorship. Very normal for me. Many of the clients that I work with, for example, some of my current clients have been watching me for at least a year before they then reach out, so just pay attention. If you want the opportunity, here I am, and let me know. I'm taking deposits now up until mid-February, but if you message me in February, I'd take deposits until about midsummer, and so on and so forth. Price will go up next year. Just pay attention. So, yeah, let me know. You can tell I'm a great salesperson, right? I just want to have conversations with people, and then basically my whole intake process is here's all the messages. Respond to everyone with voice notes personally, which is what I do. I don't have any assistants. I do it all myself. It's full confidentiality, it's full privacy, it's a fully intense and intimate mentorship experience. So there's no sales funnel, there's no calendar links, there's no book a slot and show up and we do a 15-minute discovery call. We start with 10 minutes of voice notes, we do like a 2-hour conversation, and then it's 4 months of relentless inner work. If you want that, again, as I mentioned at the start of the live stream, you don't see me saying things like this very often. I very rarely sell my services, but today I have opened up the mentorships. First time in 2 months. It'll be open for about a week and a half, 2 weeks as I scout for people. If you've already been waiting, bump yourself up. If you're considering working with me, send me a message now, and we can work together. Let's go back into the live stream mode. Maybe it is live stream mode. Live stream mode is also a bit of conversational selling. What are we seeing in the chat? We're seeing from Georgia. What do you think of Teresa of Avila's Interior Castle? Great book for some people at a certain stage. So Saint Teresa of Avila is a mystic saint who was canonized by the church, who had a very internal experience of God and her own soul. And I found out in reading Saint Teresa's most famous work, The Interior Castle, this was a 2-month process of basically recounting the entire mystical vision. And she went off the deep end quite a bit. She had some genuine revelations, but if you know enough about spiritual emergencies and active imagination and mystical states, maybe the translation I had wasn't so good, but compared to other mystical Christian thinkers, for example, Meister Eckhart. I'm going to start going deeper into St. John of the Cross, or even some of the early church fathers. There's better mystical works out there. I think St. Teresa very much got into her own spiritual emergency, 14th century style. And I'm no expert, but the feel of active imagination, sudden mystical illumination, and then the whole vibe of the book wasn't quite for me. It's interesting, but it's not top tier. And I'm interested in top tier rather than the rest, because then I get the best, share it with you. And St. Teresa, it's interesting, but maybe not the one to follow all the way through. That's my opinion. Seeing more comments now from the comment section. Rini says, selling is and asking for payment is challenging. I did it a few times this week and woke up with a painful tight jaw, physically unable to open my mouth. A selling moment is a beautiful moment. I agree. Conversational selling, authentic sales, especially if you're a one-to-one service provider, it involves a lot of you. It involves a hell of a lot of you, and sometimes it can take a lot out of you, especially if you go through a process where you're building up with a potential client or a potential customer, and it's many hours of investment, and then suddenly falls through. If you want an inner work journey, take the journey of entrepreneurship, and you will definitely learn a lot about yourself. I'm seeing Screaming at a Wall podcast saying, hello mate from UCSD San Diego in California. I've been watching you since the beginning and you inspired me on so many levels. My friend, if you've been watching me for almost 3 years, then thank you for being here, first and foremost. We'll go for a little walk because I feel like stretching my legs. Turn the light on. There we go. If you've been here for 3 years, thank you, firstly. Look at this. What a glorious scene. Starting a little bit lower than usual. You'll start to get a sense of geography if you're frequent on the streams. We normally start up here in the ridgeline. We're going to walk around to there. Look at this. Fantastic. Yeah, if you've been here for 3 years, you've seen a hell of a journey. It really has unfolded at a pretty dramatic pace. Excuse me, if I'm being honest about myself. I'm going to try and do the thing where I'm checking live while also holding this. It's quite the scene. I mean, you really do learn a lot doing these things. Currently also standing on a hole. But there's no golfers, which is strange because imagine you're doing this hole, like you're putting out at this. You're really missing out if you're not here for this. Seeing from the chat now, as we walk around and try and figure things out in real time. Sina says, hi Jordan, thank you for being such an inspiration. Can you recommend a book about dissociation? Yes, I can. Trauma in the Soul by Donald Kalshed. And also, more generally speaking, any somatic therapy work that's focused on authentic feeling. Alexander Lowen's work, Peter Levine's work, Robert Scare's work, they'll all help with dissociation, because dissociation is to be dissociated or disembodied from your own flesh. So any somatic therapy is ultimately going to help you out. I'm seeing here now in the chat, multi-screening. Got some more comments coming through. Larissa says, congratulations on the growth of your YouTube channel, business and online community. It has been a pleasure to watch your success and I hope it continues. Me too, man. Thank you for being here on the journey. Taled says, what would you suggest for a survivor of narcissistic abuse who doesn't have the money for therapy but does have the time, interest and conviction to be healed completely? Buy as many books as you can on narcissistic abuse. Get yourself out of the literal abusive situation. Find a physical, safe situation where you can study and heal, and get as many high quality books as you possibly can, and also lean into health and fitness and good self-care practices. That's the foundational advice I could give. Of course, if you are in immediate danger, then get yourself out of danger. I know it's easier said than done, but that is truly the first step that anyone should go through. Although I'm not an expert in narcissistic abuse, and I try not to talk about these topics too much on the channel. You can see a red kite. Catch this moment. This is the local birds of prey. Look at that. Hawk-like creatures. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not an expert on narcissistic abuse. I don't talk about narcissism on the channel because I found that when you start making topics that are trendy, when you start talking about trendy topics, you attract a very broad audience. And unfortunately, a lot of people are in a lot of pain. They're searching for things, they're searching for how to overcome a painful abusive situation, and I find that not necessarily you in your situation of healing, or anyone who's watching this, but the overall online community around narcissism and narcissistic abuse is very, 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 very messy. Very messy. There's a lot of shadow projection, a lot of not taking accountability for the two sides of the same coin, not paying attention to covert power dynamics, and of course, this isn't to be misunderstood as me saying that someone who's been beaten around by their husband is truly the one who's at fault. But it takes two to tango, and situations develop over time based on weak boundaries. Of course, every situation is unique, but what often happens in the comment sections of these videos, if you talk about narcissism, is basically an echo chamber of people projecting that they're the one completely victimized and the other person is completely the abuser. And I don't want to engage in that. That's yeah, perpetual victimhood is toxic as hell, someone said just there in the comment. Nuanced situation, very nuanced situation. That's why you've never seen me talk about narcissism or narcissistic abuse, even though I've helped. I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't label people, but I could say with confidence I have helped at least 15 people over the last 4 years get through what some might call a narcissistic abuse situation, either with a past partner, a current partner, or a family member. More than 15, probably closer to 30 if I'm really using the label the way people use the label popularly. It's a very, very common topic, and yeah, it's very, very different. Very different when you're working with someone one-to-one versus making a video for YouTube or a beautiful live stream like this. We're gonna check the chat as we go for a little stroll. Seeing people coming through in the chat. Clouds look heavenly, they do. Nicole says, hello everyone, glad to catch another live. I'm seeing Screaming at a Wall podcast saying, I'm currently a psych student who is currently doing inner work and inspired me to do deeper work and to assist others in their trauma, hence me attending university later on in life. Any advice? Any advice on what in particular? If you expand on this, as I expand on myself, watching myself, I think we're like a 5-second delay. Power of the third phone. Yeah, advice for what? Studies? Developing a client practice? How to cook a beautiful meal? How to get swollen, pumped up biceps? What kind of advice are you seeking? If you let me know, I can give you specific advice, and also as a general invitation, we're now almost 20 minutes into the live stream, and if you have questions you want me to answer, this is the time. If you have an interesting, nuanced, specific question, I can give an interesting, nuanced, specific answer. Otherwise, we just ramble through the English countryside and enjoy the sunset together, which isn't the worst case scenario, but we can definitely do a lot more with life than just rambling. I'm gonna put you in this tree, maybe. That's very high up. Wow. So this situation now, you are exceptionally high. I hope I'm visible. Let me know. Send me a question. I'm going to come back in about 20 seconds. Hopefully I'm audible. But otherwise, enjoy the scene. You can see it on my chat here. Maybe we talk about red flags. And I'm back. Not sure if you guys saw the flag moment or not. I'm very high up in the tree. Go for this angle, why not? Seen the chat coming through. Well, I fuck around with a flag on the golf course because I'm now a YouTube live streamer. It's causing mild public disturbance. Seeing in the chat, any advice on how to be autotherapeutic? I've read quite a lot of psychology books, but failed to put the teachings into practice from Georgia. Got a question as well. What are your thoughts on hypnotherapy as a healing modality? Currently get a certification in it. Crystal, hypnotherapy is a quick answer for me. I don't personally advocate for it. I see the use of it. There's research that says it's fantastic. It's not something that I focus on. I'm a bit too autonomy focused, and I don't. I'm gonna unhook you from this tree. I don't really like giving over my unconscious to somebody who's then going to guide me somewhere. Yeah, hypnotherapy is a mixed bag. If you get a great practitioner, and I'm sure you'll be a great practitioner, it can be very, very ethical and wonderful, but the risk is a little bit too high when you're just getting strangers from a directory. So I don't know about that. I'm going to scout the questions and then come back in. So we've got how to be autotherapeutic. Alex Rogers, welcome back, my friend. He says, hey Jordan, hope you've had a good week, mate. Do you have any advice on how to recognize the voice of your soul? That's a great question. Hopefully we'll come back to that one. Between the voice of their soul, the subpersonalities and the survival personality. Sapora asks about my insecurities. And Potat asks, they've been on benzos 6 months for muscle issues and now going through withdrawal. I'm sorry. And I hope you get through that. Okay, we've got a few questions there. We'll start with how to be autotherapeutic. So George's question. Any advice on how to be autotherapeutic? I read quite a lot of psychology books, but failed to put the teachings into practice. So, autotherapeutic, by definition, is when you are therapeuticizing all by yourself. You are your own therapist. So what we're doing on the channel. Look at these beautiful trees. I'm gonna have to show you this. This is where I normally start the live streams. You've never seen this angle before. Look at that. And normally, that's where I normally start. Look at those colours. Let's go into the trees. So, autotherapeutic work, it's when you are your own best therapist. From the healing traditions, these are the New Agers that say you can never heal someone else. You can only inspire the healer within, and to some degree that's true. In a very deep sense, that's true. And the autotherapeutic principle is similar to the autodidactic or self-educational principle of effectively guiding your own healing, your own transformation. And as Alex pointed out in his question, how do you distinguish between the voice of the soul and the subpersonality? Part of that answer is that you do genuine autotherapeutic work by following the healing impulses of the soul. I'll show you these woods. So currently on the course, no one's on the hole, so we get a whole new angle. Look at that. It's actually quite nice. I'm gonna do this. We'll hang out in a hole together. Nice sand trap. Yeah, this is good. There we go. Now I can point you around. This is where I come to hang out. Come up here 5 or 6 nights a week. Very good scene. Look at that. That's a painting right there. That is a painting. Therapy, self-therapy. How do you be autotherapeutic? You don't necessarily need to identify the voice of your soul to do good self-therapy. It helps. Fundamentally, you just need consistency and discipline, as you understand. So this is a complex topic. How do you get the most out of your own inner work? Just turn off the fucking phone. Stop drinking, stop taking drugs, stop wasting energy, stop losing hours of the day. The more hours that you claim back from unconscious behaviors, the more that you're going to be able to give to your own therapeutic process. In the same way that you wouldn't walk into your therapist's office hungover while scrolling your phone, if you're relying on yourself to heal yourself, you need to treat yourself professionally. Right? You need to treat this professionally, which means showing up as a professional for professional therapeutic work, which means cutting out distractions, cutting out substances that hurt you, cutting out scroll states that harm you, and showing up consistently. Read for an hour or 2 per day. Read for months and months in a row. And you will gradually find that your therapeutic work starts to yield fruits. That's the best advice I could give. Otherwise, I'm just talking about particular therapeutic modalities, and I know that's what I talk about in the main videos. But for the sake of a bit of a fun live stream on this beautiful, crisp autumn evening, I just advise you to turn off your fucking phone, honestly. I'm a bit angry, not at you, but at myself as well, that these devices have sapped thousands of hours from my life. And I think in moments of reconciliation like now, how much further I'd be along my healing journey, how much healthier and happier and meaningful my life would have felt much earlier on if I had have taken my own therapeutic work seriously. Which means not showing up with this in your hand, not showing up with this in your hand, not showing up with this in your hand, not this one. I mean, depends what you want to have in your hands, right? Not judging anyone's preferences, men or women, but don't show up to therapy with one of those in your hands. Just take it seriously. Take it seriously. And you'll get serious results. Don't half-arse it. Don't read for 2 days and then stop. Don't do a practice for 2 weeks and then stop. Do it for 3 months. Do it for 4 years. Just the truth of things. I'll put you in this tree. Excuse the sound. Hopefully we've got a good scene. Yeah, we've got a good scene. Great. Wonderful. Got a red kite coming through. Absolutely gorgeous. They nest in these trees. Actually, these are birch woods. I'm pretty sure that I found some English chaga mushrooms growing on one of these last week. Self-identified it. You can't see where I'm seeing, but I'll show you this. Just before we settle up. Just looking into here. Might not seem like much, but this path looks a lot more vivid in person. And we'll just watch the live stream sunset over here, come back down, and then we'll go for a final bit of a nighttime walk. Someone's happy about their golfing. Okay. Perfect. You should be able to see me. You might be able to turn up the brightness just a little bit. There we go. Thank you for joining me on the live stream, by the way. Everyone who's here live I know I don't get the opportunity to respond to everyone who comes up in the chat, but this is very much, as Rennie just said, this became our spot, didn't it? This is the community spot. What a life, come on. Got the golfers coming through, so they're going for a wild one. I get to watch them go in the hole. I think it's a group of younger lads. I've got a bit of golfing action for the frequent viewers. Looking now at the comment section. Roya said, would starting with your shadow work library course be a good foundation for our work together? I've seen you have a lot of videos and resources, and I'd love to know your thoughts on how best to begin. Perfect question. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to market my services. Several of my clients have started in my shadow work library course, and then they join me in one-to-one mentorship several months deep into the journey, and I also give them a discount. If someone buys my shadow work library course and participates, that's self-guided, 36 books, 9 modules. It takes people at least 6 months normally to get through. That costs £750 British. My mentorship is 7,400. I discount the entirety of the shadow work library from a mentorship because I want to prioritize people who are in my course and have done the deeper work. So actually you get 800 off. I discount it by 800. I take even more off. So it is a great first step, and if you do end up working with me one-to-one, you basically get the shadow work library for free, because that's how it's worked for a few people. Earlier this year, did a few mentorships like that, and it was a very rewarding experience to then work with people who are going through the material in my prepared curriculum while working through it one-to-one in a really intimate and intense way. One of my favorite ways to engage with people, actually. So I'd love to see you on the inside of the shadow work library. Anyone who's watching this live stream that wants to go deeper, that's my best work so far. It's a 1-year anniversary of the shadow work library. It took 4 years to put together. You can find all the details on the channel on the shadow work playlist. Do some real work with me. That came pretty close. Maybe I die selling my services. Maybe you hear that on the live stream, maybe not, but the golf balls tend to come through from this angle. But I think the tree just over there protected me from that one. So we live to see another day and another shadow to be integrated. Hip hip hooray. Seen there from the chat. Screaming at the Wall podcast said, in response to the question from earlier of any advice about the psychological studies, I would ask more specifically about building clients and advice you would give yourself in university with the knowledge you have now. I'm interested in how you decided on the path you took. Well, I didn't study psychology at university, I studied history. And if you want advice on how to get clients, don't fucking expect to get it from your psychology degree, quite honestly. I've worked with people who have got masters and postgraduates in psychology. I've had clients, PhD in psychology, many master's degrees in psychology, and you get almost zero preparation for actually building a psychological practice. It's why I saw it as a bad deal. I spent thousands and thousands with an institution, and there's no guarantee of even making £100 an hour and having somewhat consistent client rates at the end of it. Seemed like a bad deal to me. I'm of a certain temperament that I don't want to work in a conventional system. I'm happy to be called a life coach. I'm happy to not have the letters in front of my name, and you be the judge of if I know what I'm talking about or not. Everything can be framed in the UK system as a life coach who does trauma-informed work. It's different around the world. But for me personally, I don't want to spend 2, 3 or 4 years earning a degree that doesn't guarantee that I actually can build a business that can sustain me and fulfill my needs and go deeper with the kinds of clients that I'd want to serve. So just pay attention if you're someone who is doing an advanced psychology degree. Make sure that you do business training. Make sure that you put hundreds of hours into researching sales and marketing and content creation and entrepreneurial business structuring. Get a limited company structure. Do all of these things that they won't teach you. Because I guarantee, as I've seen from my clients, it is one of the most disappointing experiences that you spent years studying, you aced all of your exams, and guess what? There's no fucking clients for you at the end of it. You get your name listed on a directory. And you're young. Maybe someone studies later in life, but like, you're not going to choose the 30-year-old, you're going to choose the older person who's got more experience, and it doesn't work. It's a broken system in terms of encouraging more people to become professionally trained, licensed individuals. Maybe in the UK that's just a particular situation, but I think it's a pretty American problem as well, and the European issue too. Make sure that you're building your business as you build your expertise, and that's the best advice I could give you. And if you're interested in how you actually build a client practice, from my perspective, start at a base rate, £50 an hour, next 5 clients, £70 an hour, next 5 clients, 90, 110, 130, 150, and as far as you want to go based on the clientele that you work with, based on your skill level, based on the needs for your services. That's how you, that's how you build an actual practice. We've got the golfers coming in now, so give them a bit of time, a bit of space to come through. I'm seeing now in the chat, everything's happening. Hey, yeah. We've got a dog walker. Skylar says, I just want to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Jordan. Oftentimes it feels like you're speaking directly to my soul, and it's exactly what I needed to hear. Really appreciate you. Appreciate you too. Hey, buddy. Hey, yeah. Yeah, we had a very good boy going over there. Sephora says, I have a pet swan and goose, and the therapeutic work they do alone is amazing. Waking up the nurture and love them makes life worth living, along with all the other beauties of life. I agree. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your wonderful therapeutic farm experiences. Classy Lady says, what tips would you give someone who's reading your book recommendations on their own, how to navigate the exercise while reading the books? If you mean the exercise in terms of like physical exercise, you can break up your day and put on your weight vest and go for a walk. If you mean the exercises while reading the book, say for example you're reading Homecoming and you're doing some inner child work exercises, just be intuitive. I'll give you a chance to see the whole actually. Yeah, be intuitive. If you're bouncing out between exercise and reading, what you need to do is make sure that you've got the time to consistently do all aspects of the reading process. So if you're being autotherapeutic, make a day in the week, practically speaking. Saturday is your day where you do practical somatic work, like 4 hours in the morning, and the rest of the time just keep your morning practice in reading or in evening. It's a very difficult question for me to answer, honestly. I can't, like, your schedule is your schedule. It goes back to the principle that I mentioned earlier, that if you truly want to heal yourself and take this seriously, then just create professional conditions. Really create the professional conditions of consistency, and you'll naturally find that you balance things out between the actual reading and then the more practicality-based things as well. It's the best I can give for just a single quick response, but your schedule is your schedule. You're an adult and you can choose how you want to organize your time. If things get too overwhelming, then take a break. If you get bored of a book, swap to another book. Just keep the consistency. Eventually, it all adds up. Rini says, I'm now saving up to buy your course. What can I say? I love treating myself. Rini, I look forward to welcoming you inside the course, and I can say quite confidently, sometime within the next few months, I'm going to be adding an active community element into the Shadowworks library. I'm going to be doing live group calls. I'm currently working on which systems I need to make that work, but I'm going to be doing an extra special thing at a heavily discounted, no extra charge required rate, so I can prepare for some future endeavors with the school. So if you want to get me my absolute best, very, very cheaply, consider joining the Shadowworks library now and get in before any price changes. Sunflower says, thank you so much. Advice with a view is perfection. Sending thanks from Miami. Thank you from Miami. I see Screaming at a Wall podcast coming back in again, based on their postgraduate work or their undergraduate psychology. I believe we have the same temperament, and you gave me a lot to think about. Thank you. Of course. Shadow Sister Healing, good to see you in the chat. You are inspiring professional example of out-of-the-box way of thinking and being. Thank you. Roya just said, I've just bought and joined your shadow work. Excited to start. Guess I just made a sale, but also just made a student at depth. So thank you. Welcome genuinely to the course. And again, I saw you engaging in previous comment sections, and if you, specifically you, want to work with me and do the mentorship later in 2025, stay with the Shadow Work Library course. You're going to get so much from there. Those first 2 modules in particular, you're going to learn the foundations of shadow psychology, and then the advanced introduction. If you haven't seen my Shadow Work playlist or the sales page currently, I don't just do one introduction, I do beginner intro and advanced intro. We go into trauma modules, we go into archetypal modules, we go into modules around the inner child, and then we move into the transpersonal psychology at the end with self-actualization, integral theory, and ultimately how to become a self-integrated human. So welcome to the Shadow Work Library. You'll be expecting some voice notes from me. The new client experiences, you'll see a testimonial form later on when you've completed the course, but at the beginning of the course you'll see a new client intake form. Very personal, very deep dive questions. I will read that. I read every single new client's introduction into the course, and if I can, and you give me your Instagram, I send everyone personal voice notes, and I'm very, very, very responsive for my course students, so welcome. And if anyone else feels inspired to join the new students of the day, then join me in the Shadow Work Library, or as I mentioned at the start of the stream, one-to-one services are open again. For the first time in 2 months, and they will close up very, very shortly, because I've already got about 40 or 50 people who have been waiting 2 months for my response. But I'm out here on the hill showing you the sunset instead. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Fuck me. Excuse my French. Can't help but have a joyous moment of cursing when you see something that's beautiful. Say hello from Cape Town, South Africa. Hello. Give a little forest stroll up to the overlook. It'll take a few more questions, but as you can see, I clearly am in invitational energy. Not only for the one-to-one services, but my Shadow Work Library course. Very, 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 very rarely in my main videos will you see me selling or inviting deeper services, and it's something that's a bit of a shadow of mine, actually. Try and give as much away as I possibly can for free. And it's good. It's a good business model if you're ethical and you're moral, you're focused on moral consciousness impact. It's not a good business model if you're actually encouraging people to do deeper work, spend a bit of money to get a lot of transformation, and that's what I clearly am focusing on. A little bit extra today. Got a dark situation on this path. Yeah. And remember, I might be live streaming, and you might be watching me on the screen, but I am a real person, and my favourite way of engaging with people is actual conversations with voice notes. So if you do want to ask about the Shadow Work Library, or how to work with me one-to-one, send me a voice note on Instagram. I will send 1 back, or more likely 5. I'll send 4 or 5 back, and we can start an actual conversation. I like to meet everyone personally, which is often my problem as well, because so many deep conversations, and only so much can be done before your ears get very red and very cold. We'll go for hood. Yeah, we'll do a hood. Why not? It's becoming winter. Yeah, so my sales ramble. You can tell that I don't pitch things. I talk to people. I have a course which took me 4 years to make. You can join me on the inside. We'll have a real chat. Yeah. I already know that some people will have messaged me over the last 45 minutes, and I'm going to respond to you when I get back in, when I go down this hill. Oh, look at that. Come on, look at that. Oh, we've got the best sunset of all these live streams, I think. Should be able to set you up just over here. Excuse me for 1 second. Should be able to go right there. Sten says, thank you for sharing all the valuable information for free. You're welcome. I've shared over 250 videos on this channel. It's taken me thousands of hours of my life, and if you're interested in how much YouTube makes you directly, I can't say the exact numbers because YouTube has a policy about this, but I earn, get this, pay attention, you'll like this, of the thousands of hours that I've put onto YouTube, making free videos, and the probably 100 or so hours that I put into YouTube per month, planning videos, shooting them, responding to comments, managing things, thumbnails, titles, maybe less than 100, let's call it like 80 to 100 hours. I get paid by ad revenue less than a single hour of my one-to-one client work for all of my channel. Less than 1 hour of paid work. Because I try and make the experience nice for you. I don't put ads throughout all the videos. I do the bare minimum advert at the beginning, advert at the end. So I don't make really any money from YouTube, but I do make a lot of meaning, and it is ultimately very, very, very rewarding for me. So, yeah, I love doing this. I can do this to at least 500 episodes. We're currently at 170 something. And we've got a new video out on Sunday about self-actualization consciousness, king consciousness, queen consciousness, the second stage of self-actualization once you've exited hermit mode. And it's a beautiful one. It really is a beautiful one. But it doesn't make me money, because there's more things in life than money. You do need some money. But this is free. What a vision. What a vision. Seeing lots of love in the chat for the sunset. I agree, it is a particularly good sunset. So if we can hang it down here on down. There we go. We'll come down. Just down here. There shouldn't be any golfers. We'll check the chat. Third phone has been useful. I'm glad that we did this, although I'm still figuring out how to manage two phones at once. One monitoring myself in live stream. It's quite the endeavor. And look at this. Imagine being me on your local walk, watching yourself, streaming yourself with this whole situation that you can see. Look at that. It's a real head trip, I'm not gonna lie. It really is quite fun. And apparently people have been saying that these experiences humanize me more, where I'm more literally cold-handed individual. I should definitely get some gloves. Dropping my phone because my hands are cold. And we're hanging out and watching the sunset together. What a beautiful life. Zipporah says, I feel so happy, full of awe. I feel my heart and soul flying seeing that view. Fantastic. Melinda says, grateful you are here making meaning. Your work has helped a lot. Thank you. Sten says, going through all the Jungian archetype books you recommended one by one, would it be wise to move on to something from the self-actualization canon next? Archetypal psychology and self-actualization psychology go hand in hand. You don't need... Self-actualization is a stage on self-development before self-realization and self-transcendence, whereas archetypal psychology is a way of understanding one particular framework of psychological development as it relates to the parts or the subpersonalities or the archetypal energies which can be present at all stages. So self-actualization, self-realization, self-transcendence, they're impacted by archetypal forces that bifurcate and penetrate through those layers. So imagine these layers like this, and then archetypal energy goes all the way down from unhealed, undeveloped, to highest self-transcendental energy. It's an archetypal understanding, and then you have different layers of psychological maturity along that spiral. So my ultimate advice is just do it all. Obviously, do it all. It's a good next step. You can see the theme that I have consistently on this channel. There's no right way of doing it. You need a body-based somatic therapy to just basic level grounding and health. Sobriety, cutting out the bullshit, that's all very good as well. But then fundamentally, this is going to be a multi-year process. I share a holistic range of ideas on this channel, and if you start with archetypes and then go into self-actualization, Abraham Maslow kind of stuff, fantastic. If you then go into psychosynthesis, Roberto Assagioli, or going deeper into, say, John Furman and Giller, fantastic. If you go deeper into Carl Jung, fantastic. If you go into mysticism and spiritual canon, fantastic. If you go all the way back into somatics and go deeper on bioenergetics, guess what? That's also fantastic. The spiral is recursive. You will loop your way through many different stages from many different perspectives. There's no right way of doing it, but the wrong way of doing it is doing it inconsistently without the seriousness and the professionality required to be truly autotherapeutic. Just to repeat the message from earlier. Got a good question here of from Job Island. Jordan, do you ever have relapses of depression? And if so, what do you do to recover? Do I ever get depressed? The answer is yes, but how do I answer this question? I let the sadness come, and I don't get myself worked up into an anxious mess that it's going to be like this forever. I got very depressed and very sad and very sick, mentally speaking, when I was about 10 years old, but I'd also been depressed for many years before that. And I was suicidally ideating, if I can say that word. I think I can say the word try not to say it too many times, because YouTube. I was in that stage of not wanting to be here, like this, for about 12 years, from age 10 to age 22. It had deep imprints on my body, on my soul, on my psyche, and through the healing work, I lifted myself out of that. I've spoken about the story before. When it hits me now, which occasionally it does, if I take too much stress on for too long, I'll end up in a low state. I know it's a mood. I remember once, this is a kind of an embarrassing but honest moment, when I was 21, I was writing a lot of poetry, and I was traveling in Italy at the time. And I wrote in my little notebook in a small Italian town. It was about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was in the winter. Just to give you a glimpse into my state of mind. I was sat in an Italian courtyard. There was the church tower over there. Sunset had already gone down. I had this little notepad, probably no bigger than my phone. I wrote in the back of this notepad, no amount of ephemeral summers can warm the infinite coldness of my soul. Or the infinite winter, that's what I said, the infinite winter of my soul. No amount of ephemeral summers, passing summers, can warm the infinite winter of my soul. And I tell you what, that's exactly how it fucking felt. For about 10 years until that point. And yet, eventually, the ephemeral summer became the infinite summer, and the infinite winter became the ephemeral winter. The narrative shifted. I found the inner warmth, and I found that inner light. And I held on to it. I let it burn, I let it gain force. And gradually, melted away that frost, melted away the cold, melted away the heavy, stuck energy. It's possible. I still fall into depressive states every now and again. I have low mood situations, but depressive state is even not necessarily the most accurate term. I have moments where I'm down or I'm low energy. Everyone has this, but I don't suffer from depression, as you can probably tell from how I show up online. You couldn't maintain this in the way that I do. You'd see it in my eyes if I had that heavy, sad feeling. It's not there, right? Not there anymore. By God's grace, and through a lot of hard work, it's not there anymore. So it is possible, and yeah, I do get there sometimes, but I can see people in the chat already relating. And, moving on and moving through. I see Deborah saying these live chats help so much. I agree. I see Albert Camus in the midst of an Albert Camus quote, not Albert Camus. He's not in the chat. He's a fantastic writer, but he's not here on this live stream. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. Fantastic. That's a good line. It's a good line. Crystal says, curious as to what is anchoring you to doing this transformational work with the level of intensity that you seem to operate from. What is the driving force behind all this? Great question. What's the driving force behind why I do what I do? It'd be a good question to start wrapping things up on. I've actually got a full moon situation. Check this out. You might be able to see it just through the woods. Okay. We'll peek this and we'll go towards the full moon right over here. I've got a full moon and a sunset. We're in for a good one. For a very good one. Let's go peep the full moon. And then I will answer as to what guides me through. Oh, this is a good scene. Check this out. Right through there. Fantastic. At this point, I don't really have a choice. Is the honest answer. Don't really have a choice. Someone's got to do this work, and I seem to have been given the opportunity, or I made the opportunity for myself. Some might call it a soul's mission, some might call it God's gift, God's grace, but I am the man who seems to read the books and have the way of being on the camera and sharing the ideas about the books. And I can't really stop, but in a beautiful sense. It's like hearing the music and wanting to dance. You don't want to stop, right? I get so fulfilled from this work, from client work in particular. Those situations where I'm having deep 2-hour conversations week after week, and you see the effect that you're having on someone. That's the most meaningful work for me, as we've got this full moon in the background. But then I also love doing this. I love teaching. I love sharing ideas. And I think that the love that I have for this work is self-perpetuating, like a beautiful self-feeding fire that just turns back upon itself. I can't not do this work. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine me not sharing ideas? Can you imagine me not reading books? I read 12 books this week in 4 days. Not to brag, that's just what I do. I can't wake up and not want to do this. Nothing else is that interesting for me. I'm interested in people and soul and the damage and the wounding and the grief and the pain and the fucking agony and how we turn that into beauty and light and connection and meaning and purpose. And I have that temperament. I've always had that temperament. And for the first 20 odd years, it was more tilted on the dark side. And now it's firmly anchored in the light. And I think when you're naturally in that space, you don't want to go anywhere else, right? You just feel that this is what you're meant to be doing, and you don't really have a choice. In the best sense possible, you don't really have a choice. I'm sure some people can relate to it watching this when you know that you've got your meaning and you're on path and you're on purpose. Good luck getting off the path. Unlike me, currently lost the path. There it is. A bit difficult in the dark. I'm currently in the sheep field. A few live streams ago where we met the sheep. Got the sunset over that way. Sun going down and the moon coming out. Beautiful energy. As we're starting to wrap up the stream. I'm just gonna check this path. It's very, very difficult to see. I need to illuminate myself. There we go. If you've ever tried walking in the dark with a bright light in your face, just know that you're going to encounter some brambles and some sudden fences which you didn't expect were on your way. Back over here. Yeah, check back in on the chat, see what we've got. Cool, super full moon. Super full moon. I didn't know it was a super full moon, but it makes a lot of sense. Seeing the path of eudaimonia, commenting in the chat. Jordan, I still experience a lot of pain, sadness, and rage because of the unfaithfulness of my ex in our relationship. How do I deal with these experiences and emotions? I'm sorry that you've had that. So it's one of the most heartbreaking experiences to go through a romantic betrayal. Personally speaking, when I've been through moments of romantic betrayal, friendship betrayal, disappointment, in a family sense, in a professional sense, any kind of betrayal in an overall context, forgiveness is the ultimate outcome that you're aiming towards, but you shouldn't skip towards forgiveness at risk of kind of trampling your own authentic feelings. Many of the times that we go a little bit too prematurely towards understanding other people, we fail to understand ourselves. Usually there's a lot of anger. If you haven't contacted the anger and the deep anger and rage and frustration that comes with a betrayal just yet, that's a good potential way to do some practical somatic clearing. In terms of the wider perspective of forgiveness, know that you can understand somebody without necessarily forgiving somebody, and forgiveness can sometimes take many, many years. And be patient with yourself in that process. Truly, be patient with yourself. I wish I could give a more nuanced and sensitive answer on a live stream, but I don't think I can go too deep into this just now. Just look for the anger, don't skip towards forgiveness prematurely, and naturally the heart will heal in its own timing, and more lays ahead in your path, and there's definitely a lot more light in the future. As Deborah says there, don't trample your own authentic feelings. True, very true. Phil Storm, very unrelated question, said, when you started the channel, how did you get comfortable with the video editing and uploading part of it? Just did it. What's the alternative? It doesn't matter if I'm comfortable or not. You're making a YouTube channel. You just learn video editing as a skill. You put yourself out there, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you don't really have a choice. You're just here, and this is your job, so you better. It's not about comfort. I'll be honest. Like, it's not about comfort, Phil. It really isn't. If we only did things that were comfortable, how little we'd do in life. I'll put it that way. How little we would do if we only took a step forwards if we knew it was going to be a comfy, easy step. I was saying to someone only recently in a comment that I responded to, they asked me how I got started, and I said that when I first started doing stories on Instagram, when I first started actually filming to camera, I used to be able to do this. Right? This is I'll do a little demonstration now. People like the live demonstration kind of stuff. I'll do this. Currently filming like this. Let's do it like that so you can see it. This is what I'd do. This is me. Okay, so I'm filming. Here I am. Filming me, or filming me. This is me 7 years ago. Today I'm going to be filming a live stream. We're on the golf course. You can come and join if you want to. Oh, fuck. Fuck's sake. Shit. Fuck. That would be what I'd do. I did that for months. It was so awkward. I hated it. I couldn't do more than 10 seconds on camera. I'd never developed this talking to camera kind of skill, and I just pushed through it. And this was before I started doing like full-time coaching. 7 years ago, I was doing poetry and short story writing, and I couldn't do more than 15 seconds speaking to a camera. And then it became 30 seconds, and then it was 60. And then with YouTube, it gradually became a few minutes at a time. It was never comfortable. It was never comfortable. If you look back on the live streams I was doing even just a few weeks ago, this is live stream number 7. I'm not comfy on the hill. This is weird. I've got people in the dark who are going past me, with their dogs, standing in a white hoodie with a weight vest on, with a big light in my face. It's weird, it's not comfortable, but you're not meant to be living a life of comfort. Whatever you're thinking of doing with the rest of your year, it doesn't have to be the comfortable choice that you prioritize. In fact, you might be way better served by making the uncomfortable choice, which is a more honest, more courageous, more inspiring choice. Right? Don't fucking waste your life. It's nice to be able to swear on these live streams. I swear a lot more in person than I do on my YouTube videos. I just try not to be too rude or too vulgar when people are searching for trauma advice in particular. But on the live stream, here you are, here with me. Yeah, don't waste your fucking life. And a lot of life is wasted in the comfort zone. So much of what I've done with my life, from 2 years of backpacking and traveling after university, not going down postgraduate pathway, not going down guaranteed income or guaranteed status, doing all of this instead. Never comfy, but it's definitely worthwhile. Yeah, maybe I'm just ranting. Let me know in the chat if you can relate to this idea of choosing discomfort in an intentional sense. Otherwise, I may have just taken the wrong path, and I should actually stay more comfortable. I see Deborah saying there, reading all the books is not comfortable, but I don't want to waste my life in the comfort zone. Exactly. I've got a community post coming out on Sunday, which reaffirms that you're better off spending 3 years doing dark, uncomfortable healing work to gain decades of peace and serenity on the other side of the healing. I see Misa in the chat. How are you so calm? Like, you make social media content, but you don't crave any sort of attention or validation. So many people express their sadness and pain to you, but you never get upset. Well, you're projecting a lot onto me there. I appreciate the golden shadow projection, but I'm not that calm. I'm kind of calm. I don't crave any sort of attention or validation. What a load of bullshit. Look what I'm doing. I'm live streaming near my home to an audience. Currently, at the time of viewing, dozens of people, 1,000 or more people will watch this. Of course I crave validation and attention. You can't be, this is a good shadow work moment, you can't be a YouTube personality and not crave attention or validation. You have to. There's a way to make it healthy and mature. There's a way to be serving and still have those validation needs that you're seeking. But just catch that projection there, Misa. Honestly, if you think that I don't crave any validation or attention, how do I get to the number of subscribers that I've got on YouTube? How do I show up every single week? If you see me on Instagram, you see me talking about the stories that I have in the gym, for example. I'm doing workouts. I'm like aesthetically shooting myself, not shooting myself. I'm like shooting myself to muscle ups, shirtless in the gym with moody, melancholic metalcore and emo, gothy music. Of course, I crave a bit of validation and attention. We all do. And I think the honest answer is that it's okay to have validational needs that need to be met by the outer world. You just balance them against self-validation and self-affirmation. So fundamentally, for example, with my workouts, I go and do those workouts for myself, even if I'm not recording it for anyone else. I just seem to give, maybe, as you said there, cool and calm vibes. Yeah, I guess I do. But yeah, we all crave validation, and that's okay. It just depends on, are you craving validation in a way which is unsustainable and inauthentic, or is it a genuine validational need based on a genuine sense of self, and you're meeting two healthy inner and outer needs in reciprocity? Yeah, and in regards to your second point about so many people express sadness and pain but I don't get upset, that's also a straight up golden shadow projection, because of course I get upset. I used to really struggle with it. It was much more difficult. I actually need to put this light on. Now getting this light so I can see where I'm going just ahead of me, because we've got these stringy lines. I need to step over. There we go. What a weird life. Yeah, as I was saying about the pain and the sadness that people share with me, it does get to me. Of course it does. Imagine taking days offline. You go into your comments section. Realistically, on a given week, dozens of stories of trauma and pain and wounding, and initially I was too empathic and I let it all in, and then eventually you learn how to be a bit more professional and how much you can actually do in a comment section. I try and respond to everyone as best as I can. I've left, I think, 11,000 comments on my own channel in response to people, but you can't do that much in a comment. Sometimes you can do a lot. I've had a very good number of people, at least a dozen people over the years who've left suicidal energy in my comment section. Once again, and I say, no, send me a message in 2 months, make these changes, reply to this comment, and a few people, 2 or 3 months later, they've replied to the comments and said, in their words, I helped them step away from a very bad place, and that's meaningful to me. But of course, to have that kind of impact, you have to be touched by the sadness and the pain that people share with you. Otherwise, you don't care enough to put in the time, because you see the world as just pointless and full of pain. But it affects me, and I want it to affect me, It didn't affect me. Again, what am I doing this work for? That's part of the work. But you need to be touched by the pain of others, otherwise you don't feel inspired to do something about it. Being touched by pain is different from being overwhelmed by pain. But always a lesson, always a learning process. We're currently coming up on a very nice moon situation. Turn you around, find a little opening in the sky. I will squint, try and guide myself through the pitch black. The white works quite well on the live stream. Yeah, because it catches the light, so I get a nice natural illumination. So glad to wear the white hoodie. Bit of a sight now on the golf course, so Halloween's already passed. I'm the ghost of live streaming. Just looking for an opening with the moon as I walk to the increasing cold. Look at these hands. Whew. Need to get some gloves. They are, English winter is here. If I'm not seeing your comment in the chat just now, know that it's because if I start using this hand, I might get frostbite and it falls off. So I can't be checking while navigating in the dark and using this phone all at once, because I am the one-man band that I am with this live stream setup. Got my harmonica in my mouth, got my banjo on my back, got a drumstick between my cheeks and I'm banging on the drum. There we go, I got the moon coming through. Just over there. Here we go, right there. See that? That's the full moon in between the forest. We'll go all the way over here and then we'll end it, I think. About 10 minutes time we'll bring this live stream to a close. I'll head back down the hill, open up the one-to-one request messages once again, open up the new Shadowwork library inquiries once again, and start getting back to people. Begin the social side of the week. And if you've been here the whole stream, thank you once again for being with me. We've got a little bit left in us, but we're figuring things out. Figuring out how to navigate the inner world and the outer world, including this little bit of a dip. I know not much is happening right now, honestly. I'm not sure why you're watching this. I've heard that people watch this kind of stuff when they're cooking, or when they're just, I don't know, in their office. They want some background noise. Well, I'm glad I can be background noise for you on those self-aware moments, especially on the replay. A couple hundred people have me as their background noise. And I am your background noise. Because otherwise I'm not sure why you're here in this exact moment. Surely you have more books to be reading. Something I say is I get to see the moon 7 hours before it rises here. Thank you, I'm working. Yeah. I wonder how many people are working right now with me in the background. Kind of fun. We're just now approaching where the moon should be visible. Oh, double scene. Just so we go. This. Wow. We got the sunset. And super full moon. Really nice. Which way? Orange or the moon? Let's see if there's any more topics that come up. Can't believe that it's just about 5 o'clock. Kind of crazy. Winter in England is a very special thing. If I didn't see your question earlier and you still have a question and you're active in the chat, now is your time to repost it, and I'll choose one question to wrap up the live stream with. Again, I read all of the chat messages when I go back when the live stream's finished. Just can't track everything in real time because there's so much wonderful information coming in at once. And I don't have a professional live stream setup. You'll notice I make a particular effort to bring you out into the woods rather than just set up a studio camera in the library, and it'd be so much more sanitized and easy. This is a lot more vlog style, earthy, normal, and I think it contrasts against the usual library content quite well. But we're out here. Got a question coming through. Sapora says, firstly, I feel full of joy spending time like this, listening and learning. It feels like I'm part of a community and social interaction. I deeply appreciate this. I live in the forest, a bit secluded. I think a few people have felt that, Sapora. Definitely with these live streams, getting more and more of a sense of the community that we've built here through the incredible introspective work that we do independently, and then the reflections that we give each other. I remember last week in the live stream, it was Eric's 57th birthday, and a few people in the chat were wishing him congratulations, and I remember him being deeply touched by it, so that's quite nice. A question here from Lindsay. Jordan, I question what reality is, and it blows my mind and sometimes makes me uneasy. Can you recommend any books or works to help me understand and feel safer in reality? God, that's a nice light question to end the live stream. What is the nature of reality? Okay, I've got a smart person answer, and I've got a super smart person answer. So the smart person answer is essentially, there's multiple levels of incarnation, from discarnate to incarnate, and the material and energetic realities and planes of existence that we live in can be graded and measured across different systems of psychological and spiritual understanding. We are here on a journey as material beings. Also, there are etheric or astral elements, depending on the systems that you're looking at, and there is no such thing as one unified reality in time and quantum and fucking who cares. All of those answers, honestly, they get tiring. That's a smart person answer. If you want the super smart person answer, why are you asking me what reality is? What am I going to tell you? Got your own breath, got your body, got the ability to pay attention. But those three things right there, you can find a lot of answers. Yes, there's reading. Yes, more reading. I like reading as well. But the actual fundamental felt contact with reality is engaged and sustained through this body in a healthy, consistent, reliable, and eventually beautiful, expansive, vibrant experience of reality. The embodied reality, the reality of the world around us, and yes, the material and immaterial realities that we find on the inside. But I'm not going to give you the answer of what reality is. That is the question that we all need to find the answer to. You get to decide. You get to decide what your reality is, and eventually you realize that moods and states and emotions and old unresolved traumas have a lot more clouding effect on reality than sometimes we can pay attention to, and reality does shift a lot depending on who you see yourself to be and how you treat the body that you are blessed to exist inside. Just pay attention. If you're feeling confused right now and you feel like you're a bit disconnected or dissociated from reality, consider quitting drinking drugs and scrolling so much, and you might find a bit more reality on the inside. Stop fucking using your phone. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. Stop being with people who are bad for you. And reality changes. Yeah, that's super practical, earthy self-development advice at the end, but it's true. Hanging out with the full moon, and we've just now reached a moment where the final vestiges of the sun are passing beyond the horizon. As good a point as any to start bringing the stream to an end. We're 80 minutes in. Is this the longest stream? Might be the longest stream. I hope that answers your question about reality. How often and when are the live streams? On Fridays or Saturdays at sunset time. So currently I'm prioritizing Friday when the weather's good, and it's at 3 p.m, 3:30 p.m. GMT UK time, and I'll be here again next week. It's every week I'm doing this. Sometimes I do it on a Saturday if the weather's bad, but I will be here next week on Friday or Saturday at around 3:30 p.m. GMT. or you can watch the replay. Yeah, nice practical ending there. Any final comments coming through in the chat, you let me know. Might have a little bit more time, but otherwise I think we're wrapping up. It is a cold, frosty day. Should have worn a few more layers, I think, next week. If I haven't got gloves on the way, I should get some gloves on the way. Layer up a little bit more. Weight vest keeps you warm. Currently we had a bit of a lighter load at 12 kilograms, which is, I don't know, 25 pounds, 30 pounds maybe. Nothing left to say. Got the moon. Thank you for being here. What's the temperature? I don't know. Enough for frosty breath. That's the truth of it. This is a moment where if I was a super efficient live streamer, I'd then have all kinds of do this and do that. But the reality is sometimes things just fade out when they're completed. Just the end of a conversation. End of you and me hanging out. You can go watch more of my videos if you want. Or you can just turn off the phone. Turn off YouTube after this. It's going to end in a moment or two. Just take half an hour. Don't go and watch another thing. Just be with yourself. That question again, what is reality? What is reality? You get to decide. You get to choose and curate your reality after leaving this live stream. Make sure to make a good choice. Sapora saying, thank you, Jordan. I feel deep appreciation for you in these videos. Going to take care of my feather babies now. Fantastic. I see beautiful sermon. I see thank you. I see thank you. I see thank you. And I see my poor hands. Thank you for being here. And once again, you are the custodian and the steward and the creator of your reality to some degree. There is such a thing as material outbound reality. There is such a thing as social and cultural conditions. I don't believe in the New Age hype that you are truly the master of your destiny and your soul all the way through. But you do have power in this fucking moment. Not a different moment, this fucking moment. Turn off the screen, turn off YouTube. Do something true with the next half an hour of your life. Whatever that means. I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna walk down the hill. I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna feel grateful. I'll see you next week. Thank you for being here. Don't watch another video. Don't do it. Don't do it. Even if you recommended them, don't do it. Go offline. I'll see you next time.